As a teenager, I was growing up next to Detroit in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. So we were 5 minutes away from Detroit. I didn't live there, but from 15 or 16, when I wanted something more alternative or something different, I always went to Detroit to find cool records, to see concerts, and of course, finally discover club music and techno music. And so it was an incredible time because it was, there wasn't much going on in Detroit, and techno music wasn't famous. So there was small clubs and people who were really passionate about the music and supportive, and that's what I remember about that time. It did, I was a funny white kid coming over to Detroit, and people were just, I think, curious or just kind of happy that there was more people getting into the music, and people really saw that I was very passionate and were very, very, very welcoming. Over the years, I've spent time all over the world. Of course, Detroit, I was in New York for a while. I've been in Berlin. Berlin just has a very special vibe, especially in the early 2000s, because it was, for me, it reminded me a bit of Detroit, and it was really open-minded. You could really play music long. There was bars and clubs going on every day of the week. And it just really felt, like a place where anything was possible. And I think that's why Berlin attracts people from all over the world still, especially now musicians and techno musicians and creatives. It's welcoming for people who are a little bit different than the norm. I think it's important that the new generation, next generation, do understand or get a connection to club culture. It is actually now very easy for kids to just enjoy electronic music only at festivals, only at 5, 10, 20,000 people, and that's great. But there's an intimacy and something special when you're close to the artist, and the artist maybe has a bit more freedom in what they're playing, maybe a longer set, but just smaller places you have a bit more sensitivity, and just being on the dance floor and losing yourself and forgetting that you're at a festival and going from one stage to the other and taking photos all the time is really important to stay connected to, for me too. Every year in the fall, after the whole festival season, I try to do a series of small clubs or a club tour. A couple of years ago, specifically in Germany, and sometimes the UK, and this year in Italy. You have to find a balance. I came from a small nightclub, learning, to play music, strobe light. Nobody cared who the DJ was, and now the whole scene has changed. DJs are performers, they're entertainers, they're famous, and I've grown and developed with that, and kind of learned how to, be on main stages, and actually like it much more than I did in the early days. But it's not where I came from, so I have to always find the balance and feel connected to my roots, and also be connected to not only my old fans who have been following me and supporting me for years, but also reach out to the new fans. And sometimes you meet those new fans at festivals, sometimes you meet them in a small nightclub like here in Rome at Goa, where people are just going out for the evening, and maybe they accidentally come here and see me for the first time. And I like that energy. What's interesting about club culture is that it really now has a generation of parents. Of course, clubbing has been around for 40, 50 years, but that's what we're talking about is like acid house, techno culture, which started really in the late 80s. Now you're seeing kids and DJs come up. You have Charlotte DeWitt, you have Amelie Lenz, and some of the biggest names now on the circuit weren't even born when we started. And so you have that new perspective, and then you have people, like me or other, my colleagues who have families who are still finding a balance to maintain, and be part of the culture of dance music, and getting older. So it's never happened. It's very interesting because I wasn't the first wave of techno artists, but I was very close to the very early days from Detroit and traveling in Italy and UK in 1990, 91. So I've seen many things change and develop, and it's always kind of been like we're creating our own history. there was nothing ahead of us when we started, because the music was being created, the scene was being created, it was growing around the world. And so now again, we're continuing to kind of be on that, front line of, honestly, like, how do we have, a normal life or a family life, or how do you grow older, and still be part of this culture? So there's so many different dynamics going on, and so we have a lot of experience. You've got the young generation coming in with just complete energy, and sharing that energy and experience is, I think, a wonderful moment right now. Club culture is always changing and developing, and I want to feel that I'm connected to the past, to the present, and the future. I think it's very difficult for the young producers now. You have to be very professional and work even harder very, very quickly. You have social media, which can connect you to people, but it also takes a lot of time to stay on top of everything. I think the thing to remember is that you want to make music, you want to DJ, you want to perform, you need a bit of everything to kind of let people know what your idea is. What is the sound that you're trying to create, and you have to think of every way to how to present that to the people out there. Biggest advice I would get to anybody getting into the scene as a DJ or producer is just get prepared to work hard and find a gang or a group of friends who are like-minded, whether those are friends in your same city or internet friends or social media friends, and try to create a collective. You need more than your own voice. You need your first friend or supporter who's your fan, or maybe your girlfriend at the same time, or your boyfriend. Like, just find people you connect with and try to amplify what really turns you on. Connection is the key of the club culture, because it's always been the key. That's why we are all so lucky to see club culture so massive and so healthy right now, is because, in my belief, my mind, of the connections that so many people put together in the 90s and in the 2000s, especially in the 90s, like really relationships that became friendships, that became families, that became kind of traditions, that are like a network, like the fabric that we all continue to live upon and build. So, like-minded people, friends, connections, shared beliefs, shared inspiration. This is what moves things forward.
M2O